Jennie Walker, and welcome to Closet Conversations. Today we have with us the founders of the brand new company, List Perfectly, Amanda Morris and Clara Albornoz. They're going to be with me to tell us all about this really exciting service that I have been using myself. I've been trying it out. It is going to help resellers list more quickly on multiple platforms and make more money. So welcome to Amanda and Clara.
Hi, thank you for having us. Hi, Jeannie.
So
thank you so much.
I'm so glad to have you with me today. I found out about List Perfectly listening to someone else in the reselling community, Rockstar Flipper. He's a rock star for sure, supporting the reselling community. And it was the first time I heard about it. And then later, we were listening to Daily Refinement, and he mentioned he had an interview with the two of you, I guess, at PoshFest, and I saw that. And all of those things together, I knew about the company, kind of put in the back of my mind, but it wasn't until in my consignment shop, Viden Luxury Consignment, where we had hired someone to do cross-posting for us, and they left to take a full-time job. They left us and were working part-time, and I'm thinking, how am I going to survive this? What am I going to do? And then I'm like, List Perfectly. So that's what happened. I'm like, how am I going to deal with this? And so that's what happened. Reached out to you guys, signed up for the service. I've been using it, and I'm so impressed with it that I just wanted us to talk about it, and so that everyone could know about this amazing service.
Wow, thank you. Yeah, you nailed all the reasons why we built List Perfectly. That and many more.
Good. Well, listen, let's kind of just start with the basics for people who don't know about your company. And first of all, tell us exactly what List Perfectly is from your perspective. From my perspective, what it does is it can help me take a listing and cross-post it to another platform, and they all kind of work together. But kind of tell me a little more about this company, how it got started, and where you see this going, because it is certainly a very timely product that's needed for so many people in this reselling community.
Yeah. We built List Perfectly because we're online sellers ourselves. We've been selling together, Clara and I. This is Amanda. We've been selling online together for 10 years. And, we like a lot of sellers, you go through the ebbs and flows in sales. And, there was one defining moment I remember. We got to a point where we were on eBay only, and we realized we must be on more than one platform. But it's hard. It's not easy to take your products from one place to another. So that was challenge number one that we needed to solve. The other one was that Clara was, having difficulty using the keyboard because she was developing arthritis. And I'll let her talk about that. We needed something that would help the listing process become easier and faster and avoid, too many repetitive motions on the keyboard, and save time as well. So not only did we build List Perfectly to cross-post, we also built it to help you list faster. And so you can come on our platform, you can create listings right with us, and then send them to 8 different channels now.
Wow, 8. That is fantastic. So, Clara, tell me about this whole arthritis thing. I mean, when we had talked before, I was just so impressed by the fact that you had a physical limitation that you were trying to overcome, and that would be so much a part of this. Can you talk more about that?
Oh, wow, what a good question. It's something, and it was literally such a great question, because I've been trying to hide that because I'm young. I'm not even 45 years old, and I'm diagnosed with osteoarthritis. And I'm trying to understand. You're trying to understand what's happening to you. In dealing with that, I'm noticing my performance at work it's obviously I'm not able to keep up with work, and unfortunately I had to learn to manage pain. and that require a lot of resting and require to me to manage my time more effectively. And in this process, we're trying to switch or to increase our business from resellers to build the software. And we're building this, because out of desperation, like we said, we're desperate. Amanda, we knew that we wanted to work together, and we knew that software would be the only way that we could grow the business and save time, and at the same time, not only keep up with our income, but increase the income, and at the same time provide an excellent service, reducing returns and making customers happier. We had to find a way to make this right.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, let me ask you this, though. It's one thing to have a limitation, but it's another to, go form a company or create a software. I mean, this is the everyday response, right? It's like, I'm going to go get some Bengay and put it on my hand or something, I'm not going to go build a software. So there had to be something in your background where you thought, doing something technically was going to be the answer. And I want to understand that piece of the story. What went on there?
Yeah, no, it was very simple. I love businesses, and I love analyzing businesses and see how they can grow sustainably, how they can help better businesses. And I thought, for us, the way to grow the business and to make it something that would last was technology. That's it. We figured out the sourcing. We figured out the listing. I figured out the best business partner I can ever have for me in this world. So I got all the other pieces of the puzzle, and now we needed something that would exponentially accelerate sales and make our life better, so we could build at the same time, not only become better resellers, but at the same time we have to build a company. Like I said, for me, in the solutions that we went to test, Jennie, keep in mind that we were months. This was a year of testing solutions by other companies, or they were too expensive, or they didn't work, or if they worked, they would work a week, and then they wouldn't work the next week. And it was such a job to figure it out. And then we just, again, desperation made us do this. And
yeah, and just going one step further, everything that Clara said. But I want to reiterate that this journey for us, we actually started this search, trying out different software platforms all the way back in 2013, 2014. And so, we actually developed this solution for ourselves back in 2015. Yeah. So imagine it took all that time to figure out how to get it from our hands to your hands.
Wow. That is amazing. Well, let's sort of go back a step and to the whole crux of this. You can list on multiple platforms very quickly and very easily, and as a result, increase your sales almost immediately. And I just want to say that so people will keep listening to see how this happened. It happened with me. So we signed up for the service at Walker Viden, and of course I needed to figure out how to use it. So I was, working on the platform. But I've listed. I just started listing. I just started trying to get used to it. I use the express posting, and we'll talk about that versus the other way to do it. But I use the express posting because I just wanted to quickly push as many listings from Poshmark into eBay as I could, because basically, I do reselling as well as have my consignment shop. So in my reselling world, I had moved away from eBay because they had changed their algorithms. My sales literally came to a screeching halt. And so I'm like, out of desperation, I started listing on Poshmark and quit using eBay. And so I had all these listings on Poshmark and then they weren't on eBay. And I did my numbers the other day. I have about 1,000 listings on Poshmark, and at the time I started testing your service, I had about 450 listings on eBay, and over a couple of weeks, that number went up to 748 listings on eBay, so almost doubled, about 300. And that's just playing around with it. And I did timing today, and it took me 2 minutes to cross-post one listing, a minute and 33 seconds for a different one, and a minute and 29 seconds for another one. So basically a minute and a half to 2.5 minutes for me to go from Poshmark to eBay, check everything, and off it goes, which is just extraordinary. And so I've been able to realize from my own experience how quick and easy this is. And after I did the first batch of, I think I spent a couple of hours just one day when I really got into it, and I immediately had a $300 sale on eBay. And then I started, I just started the process, and my eBay store basically came back to life. It just really things started happening, and it had been completely dead. And so it did not take long at all, like a day or two, to see that this was helping, this was working, right? And so I just was so excited about that. And then in the consignment shop, we do it differently. We don't do the express posting. We go from the eBay listing to your List Perfectly platform. Then we push it to the next platform, because that is the step that we need in order to track the multiple platforms that it's on. So why don't we talk about some of the technical parts of it? Because from my perspective, I've never seen anything like it. I had immediate sales increase. It's super easy, and I know that you've got big plans to get every platform in the world as part of this thing. So let's talk about the technical part. So I'm going to leave it to you, Amanda, to start talking about that part.
All right. Yeah. So, this is, of course, my favorite part. I'm so glad that you mentioned your process, because you starting with eBay is probably a good practice for most of your listeners, because they are the most complicated platform, and them and Etsy. And by filling out your eBay listing, and then pushing it over to our platform and then to Posh, I mean, now you're talking like just a handful of seconds. And so to get technical about it, what we realized very early on is that let's say eBay, why are they so complicated? Because they're always adding something new. They're changing their categories. They're adding attributes. They're doing all this. So we in our investigation, we saw that a lot of selling channels were forcing you to create the listing on their site and then click a button and then trust them that your listing was going to look good once it went over to eBay. So when we double-checked and we went over to our listing on eBay, we noticed that half the fields were missing. Some data was in the wrong spot. Yeah. The descriptions looked out of whack. Like it was very wonky. And so we realized really early on, this is not the way that as sellers we could entrust, let's say, these third parties to take care of this. We want to actually see that listing on the listing page, make sure it looks good, because these things could lead to item not as described cases. They could lead to returns. And, as sellers, you do all this work. You don't want to have to get stuck with a problem because of some third-party mess-up. So one of our very critical things in building this was we needed to make sure that we could physically see the listing before clicking live and making that listing live. So that is why you get to see your listing. You get to review all the details that List Perfectly brings over and ensure it's the way that you want. So that was critical in our journey.
Wow, that's amazing. So that one of the things I want people to understand is back to this technical part a little more, because you have this technical expertise, but as resellers, we basically know just enough to get it listed and to push it out there, right? So basically what this technology is doing, and obviously you probably have all kinds of proprietary things you cannot talk about, but let's just pretend there's something you can talk about. What it basically is doing, from my perspective, is it's taking the base listing and literally cutting and pasting it into the other platform, right? Is this basically what's happening? And so,
pretty much.
Okay. And so that's what's the whole beauty of it, because part of the things that prevented me from continuing to list on eBay was that I just didn't have the energy. I was exhausted. I'm like, I cannot sit there and start from scratch another
True.
listing on something, right?
We feel
so
you.
I think we're all suffering the effects of how much physical energy and mental energy it takes to create a listing. I do agree that eBay is the most complicated one of all. But there are some limitations to your system at the moment, so people need to understand. For example, if you're on Poshmark where there's 8 photos and you're pushing it to eBay, it's all good because eBay will accept a square photo. eBay allows up to 12 images. There's 8 on Posh. It drops it in beautifully. You go through, you fix a few things. And what I love about it, I have to tell you, is I find typos because when you pop it into the new listing on eBay, it shows you the red marks, right, where you have something that's not spelled right. So it gives me a chance to clean up my listings in terms of typos and things like that. So I love that part about it. So it drops it in, right? And I send it off. But the reverse, if I'm going from eBay to Poshmark, express posting, right? This is the key, and not stopping in the middle with your List Perfectly platform. It's only going to take the first 8 photos, and it's going to crop them to fit into the template for Poshmark, right? So those photos, if they are a normal, 4x6 shape, vertical, suddenly have to become square. It's going to modify it. It's still going to cut and paste it in, but it's going to modify it a teeny bit, and it's only going to take the first 8 photos. And so those are some of the subtle things about your platform that people, I think, need to know about. And the way around that, to me, is we talked about it internally at Walker Viden, is that, okay, we'll make sure the first 8 photos are, because we always go to eBay first in that store, are the ones that we want on there, so that in case we want to express post, we're set. Otherwise, you're going to have to make us some subtle changes, and so then that's going to mean express posting might crop out important photos, and why you might choose to go to the List Perfectly platform, which is kind of that middle spot, make those changes, and then push it out to the other platforms. Does that sound too complicated? But it's really not. It's really pretty
simple. No, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, because one of the things that we tell people is saving time listing is critical. And we tell people you don't want to be monkeying around with like how your listing looks on eBay and doing special things for Posh and creating special titles and special descriptions for every platform, because you're going to spend 20 to 30 minutes listing one item if you're worrying so much about each and every platform. So what we tell people is to do pretty much what you do. Take your photos in square mode because they'll look great everywhere. Build your title so that the first 40 characters have all the information that you need. And if you're listing on eBay, put the rest of the information after those 40 characters. Do the same thing with your description. It's a matter of getting into the right habits. When you get into these habits, you're saving so much time listing, and your life is going to be so much simpler.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, coming up with all this uniqueness, it defeats the purpose of what you're doing. The whole purpose of your software is to just plop it over there as fast as possible. And it is a tiny bit of a learning curve, right? And so you can't get away from, you have to learn to use it. And so, you have to, but it's not difficult, but you do have to have a learning curve. And so in that, I've realized that platforms where I'm very comfortable and have used them a lot and know how to use them, like eBay and Poshmark. Once I was pushing tests, I call them test listings, but pushing listings over, for example, to Etsy, all of a sudden it was a different world. I'm like, what? I've never even been on Etsy, right? So suddenly I'm like, well, where does the information go? Well, pushing to Tradesy, and what I found was that Tradesy was the most similar to me than the eBay listing, right? So pushing it over there where they also take 12 photos and things like that, it seemed to be seamless. But with Tradesy, you have to choose some categories. You're like 3 or 4 steps you have to take before that data loads. So like it'll immediately load in Poshmark, and it'll immediately load in eBay, but it won't immediately load in what you visually see. It's there, but you don't see it when you go into trade. So there is a subtle a subtle bit to each one. And I do want to recommend to people that if you're going to cross-post to a new platform, you got to learn the platform. And so for me, our goal and my personal goal is to go where the platforms I already know how to use, eBay and Poshmark, plain as day. So once all that's done, we're going to go to the next platform because I don't know how to use them. And the difficult part of using them really is the shipping part. It's nothing really the other part is complicated, but it's all about one wants you to weigh, one doesn't want you to weigh, and like use their label, don't use your label. Like all of that, you have to learn and figure out. And with international shipping, you have to kind of know what your options are. And some of these people want you to weigh your item, say what box it's in, and try to choose an international service in all these different countries. And I don't even know if that person's going to buy it. So that's the last one I'm going to get to. They're going last because I don't want to stop and figure that out. But, yeah, you actually have to know how to use the platform, right? So for me, with the reselling through my Jennie Girl Closet, it's everything from Poshmark to eBay and eBay to Poshmark. Clean that all up, get that perfect, and then I'm going to start pushing to some other platforms seriously. I've done my tests, but I mean seriously start pushing to other platforms once I've kind of mastered that. So that's my personal strategy. What are your suggestions for people who want to go on all these multiple platforms, but they have to actually know how to use them?
Exactly. I would say exactly what you said. One platform at a time. Get familiar with one platform. Feel comfortable. Do a couple of listings. Get a sale. Get feedback, from that buyer. Make sure they're happy, and then you move on to the next platform, one at a time. And it works, and that's what they've been doing. Usually, I've noticed, most of our sellers, usually our users, within a week, they're taking new channels per week. That's what I've noticed. The average user.
Okay. New channels per week. All right.
Yep. And I think that's great advice. And the other thing, I will share our personal process when we were sellers at the Clothing Vault. Everybody has their method of how they list, right? You get into a rhythm and you find your little niche. And one of the things that we would always do as sellers, and I know what you mean about the shipping and the weighing, in general, we would always weigh every single item. And that would be the very first thing that we did when we listed. So we just have a scale.
Measurement. Weight, measurement, then comes the pictures. Obviously, you have to steam the clothing before, right? You already have it all dry clean or steamed. And then, so it's weight, measurement, and then photos, and then we just go ahead and look for blemishes as we have the garment or the product, as we're taking pictures, making sure any blemishes and making sure we're getting, as we're taking the photos, we're also describing the product on the lister.
Well, what's interesting about that is that I always took the shortcut. Always, all of these years on eBay, I never measured or weighed anything. I only do flat rate shipping. And because Poshmark is basically flat rate shipping up to 5 pounds, I have been able to get away with not weighing anything or measuring anything. And suddenly there are these platforms that want you to do that. And they want you to, calculate shipping and all of that. And I know that it's, it probably is something I should be doing anyway, but there's I've worked around it all these years. And so for me, it seems like a big deal to stop and weigh the roses, that's sort of something that is odd to me because you can always choose flat rate shipping. You can always do that with Poshmark and even with Relove. I mean, it's all, you don't really have to worry about the weight. I do want to ask you, you said you're on 8 platforms. Can you tell the listeners which 8 platforms those are, and then tell us about what are the future plans? What are the next platforms you're going to, if you can talk about it?
Of course. So, the traditionals, we started with the traditional 4 channels. We started with eBay, Etsy, Mercari, and then Poshmark, of course, and then we move on, we moved with Relove, then we added Tradesy. Right now we added Grail, and in matter of days, literally we're with Facebook Marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace.
And
where?
I was going to say, as far as future plans, we do have a manual tracking system so that when your listing sells, you can click a sold button, have them end everywhere. We are working hard to at least, try to get this automated as much as we can. We're going one step at a time with this.
Like beefing up our inventory manager system, because now we understand our users are managing 8 channels. So that's what we're trying to really improve now and put all of our energy.
So do you need the permission of these platforms in order to create your service to work on them?
Great question. You know what? No, we don't, because we're not a third party, okay? So pretty much what we're doing, List Perfectly, is working, okay, independently, gathering data, okay, without, there is not per se, Mandy, if you want to complete that.
Yeah. Let me talk about this for a second, because there is a very big difference in a service that pushes listings live on your behalf. So, for example, if you were on our site, List Perfectly, and you clicked a button and then all of a sudden your item magically appeared on Poshmark, we would be a third party at that point. And yes, you would need Poshmark's approval to do that. But with our system, because all we're doing is essentially getting those details about your item without you getting carpal tunnel, trying to bring them over and copy, paste, you are physically yourself looking and reviewing that listing and then clicking submit. And that's an important distinction for a couple of reasons. Yeah, for a couple of reasons, because we are not in violation of anyone's policies.
Got it.
That was very important for me, because go ahead.
Right, let's be clear about that. It's because I'm pushing my own listing up. And you're not pushing it for me. Wow,
you're not
that's
pushing
a subtle distinction.
Right?
Well,
so we're not
kind of automatizing on your part.
Yep, we think so.
Yeah, so
it's very brilliant.
Thank you.
Well, when I
it was
my
important
next
for us.
software company, I'm going to keep that in mind. That's awesome.
That's what, Jennie, that's what we notice. The harmony when you're creating software will not come from automatizing everything. It will come by speeding up the process, but giving the user a moment to stop so they can make a decision, and the user then executes whatever action you want to accomplish, not the software automatically trying to read your mind and so forth.
Well, I would say that it's in the best interest of all of these platforms to have your service in use, right? Because it's more listings equals more sales potential on their platform. So it's a win-win for everyone involved. Now, I did notice you have a Facebook page, and you had done a survey asking people which marketplaces they wanted to go to next, which I thought was really neat. So what are your plans? What are the next marketplaces? I mean, I can throw out some that I obviously you know the ones you're not connected with better than I do, but which ones are next? For example, Leprix is one service that we use. I don't know if they're on your list or not. Leprix, Leprix.
No, we have not heard of that one.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, yes. No, I'm sorry. Yes, we did Leprix. Yeah. Yeah.
And they used to be called Snob Swap, and they changed their name to Leprix. And so that's one that we list on, and they have a way to pull the listings over from eBay on your behalf. And it's them doing it. It's not me doing it, which is interesting distinction now that I know that there is a distinction. So they're one. So what other platforms, like there's Vestiaire Collective, for example. I don't know if you have plans to be on their platform. Is that one that's on your list?
Yeah, we have. I want to be generous. Let's say we have about 20 or 30 marketplaces on our list, and we will get to them all eventually. But I would say you can pretty much count on Shopify coming soon.
There is a lot of our users. Right now, we've been trying to take care of our users that do not have a website, right? They are the ones,
right.
from my perspective, okay, are the ones that they need the most help with search engine optimization so they can get visibility on their listings. So now we've been having an overwhelming request of people that have websites, and they're like, wait, we have our websites, but we also want to go into marketplaces. Please help us out. So we believe, okay, and we're, that we always consult with our audience and our users, but we believe Shopify will be the next channel.
That's a good one. So there's what? There's Depop. Let's just talk about, like, what are all the platforms, because I think a lot of people don't even know. And so they seem like they're popping up all the time. So can you just list off some more platforms besides the ones we all know about? Like, there's Depop, but who else is out there?
Yeah, there's the sneaker. Anyone selling sneakers might want StockX or GOAT. Those are two big sneaker platforms. And what about, our majority of our audience at the moment is women, so they love Kitizen, okay? So that's a popular that they want. They're really wanting our audience, that one.
What's that one?
So it's
I don't know that one. What's it called?
Kitizen. Kid, like a kid, Kidzen, Kidzen. Yeah, and it's for kids.
Yes, gotcha. Right.
Yep.
Okay, what else is out there?
So there are so
oh my God!
You mentioned the Sierra Collective. There's
we even got requests from the Real. Can you believe? Oh my God!
Yeah.
We gotta take care of that too. The Real. That's another consignment. Oh, it's from marketplaces. There was the other day they told us about Grail. There is the
they have Grail.
No. Grail is for men, but they see the version, a Grail version.
Women's Grail.
Yeah, what is that called? I'm sorry. There is a version of. There is a women's Grail, okay? And I said, yes, and I just forgot. Very, very, very similar to the structure of Grail, and so we're looking at that too.
Let's go back to the Real, because that's an interesting one, because right now, there isn't a way for an individual consignor to post. They do their own posting, right? So there isn't a way for me to post for them if I can sign with them. How would that work? What would they want you to do if they're doing their own listings anyway? Would it be to cross-post those listings for them on other platforms, or what?
That's what we're trying now. When it comes to different like consignments or everything, what we're trying to do is how to integrate our platform with them. So we're thinking, and again, this is just an idea, okay, but we got to talk because we're still trying to understand how we could integrate effectively with them. So we're thinking, whether it's going to be with their listings going into marketplaces, or if we would be able, eventually, if they would accept, other consignment businesses as well, listings.
Got it. Well, I know that ThreadUp, they have an eBay store, which blew my mind when I saw it.
Yes.
I was like,
yes,
that listing looks familiar, because I follow the Makino brand, and I was trolling on eBay, and I'm like, there's that belt. And I'm like, I know that belt. Wait a minute. And then I looked, and it was from ThreadUp. And I thought that was extraordinary that ThreadUp is selling their own stuff via eBay. But hey, why not?
Exactly.
Everything should be everywhere. But wait, when that happens, then we have a different set of issues that come up, right? Now we're going to have an overabundance of listings on all of these platforms, and then what, right? Good for sellers, but the bottom line is there's no shortage out there. There's no shortage of stuff. There's no shortage of listings, and the only thing keeping us from drowning in listings right now is the lack of technology or the wherewithal or the ability to get the things listed, because there's billions of items in the world, and there's no shortage, and it's a big problem. I'm so excited that things have gotten to this point where we're even having this conversation, that people are reselling. They're taking what's already out there, putting it back into the marketplace, and this is the new retail. It's fascinating. And I love that you guys are such a big part of it.
Thank you, Jennie. Thank you so much that you're seeing us so well, because sustainability and repurposing and reducing landfills. Okay, literally that was one of when you were asking us earlier what motivates us. Literally that it's just we have helped so many people to repurposing stuff, and they're so grateful for the stuff we resold them because we started only with pre-owned stuff, okay? So it's been, like you said, it's a very rewarding purpose when you keep that in mind.
That's terrific. Well, I tell you, we have come to the end of our show here. We did get a late start, but I think that people have the gist of what's going on here, which is the ability for your software, which you simply download on your computer, and I think you have to use Chrome in order to use it effectively, in order for it to work. You can take your listings and cross-post them to as many of the platforms as you have available right now, which is approximately 8 and growing. I saw an immediate increase in my sales. I saw an immediate change in the traffic which was happening on my items by being able to get them on eBay and on Poshmark collectively. And I think it's just terrific. And let me tell you something. Well, the thing that blew my mind the most was the price. I know your price is subject to change.
Thank you.
It's subject to change, right? It's subject to change with the times. Right now, I think it's, $69 for professional, the higher end version. Yeah. Is that right? Is it $69? And there are other versions, which, quite frankly, there's no point. To me, there's no point in the other versions. It's absolutely a waste. To me, I'm just telling you.
But you're a pro, Jennie. You're a pro.
No, I'm just telling you. This is my theory. There's no reason to not pull it all over. What is the point? There's no point in not pulling all the data over at all to save money. You aren't saving a dime because you're going to have to load it in. So I know that this is just my opinion. I'm telling you, 3 levels is not necessary. You need 1 level. You bring it all over and call it a day, okay? You don't need to.
Thank you.
And I know my theory, I got my theories why you got 3 levels is you don't want to overprice it. This thing is so cheap as it is. We've spent so much money paying someone to cross post at our Walker Viden, and it wasn't even just paying them; it took forever. The way they were doing it, manually creating those listings, everything involved. It just took forever. A project that should have taken 2 months took a year. I'm just telling you.
Yeah,
and so
it's a painful process.
Well, look, there's $69 a month for the power of this thing is basically a giveaway. You're giving it away right now. And it sounds like a sales pitch, but it's true. Like, how we waste $69 going out to a nice dinner, right? So people, if they don't have $69 to invest in this, there's something wrong. They're not serious resellers, okay? But right now, there is, I'm telling you, I love this. This is available at a discount with a special code and link. You can get 30% off your first month if you join with the link that's the JennieGirl List Perfectly link, which will, by the time this airs, be everywhere on Instagram. It'll be on my website, on Facebook. It'll be anywhere that I can put a link, I will put out there. So that people should be able to try this service because, it's kind of mind-blowing. And I'm assuming this is a month-to-month plan, right? It's not like you sign up for a year or anything. Is that right?
No, it's a monthly subscription that renews automatically, and you can cancel any time by yourself.
Okay, so if you don't have $69 less 30% to give it a try, something's wrong. So we all waste a lot of money. We all I went out last night and I was talking about List Perfectly at the they had a Posh and Sip for Poshmark. We were all talking about it, and people were like, "Yeah, I heard about it." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to interview him tomorrow." I said, "It's a game changer. It really is." And this whole industry is just fascinating. The fact that it's gotten to this point, that we are at this point where this is happening in the world, which is a good thing. But it'll be even better if they quit manufacturing at the same level. To my knowledge, I don't know. I want to hear that we're manufacturing less and doing this more. But if we're manufacturing at the same rate and doing this, then I don't know what to make of it because we won't have made the gains that we want to, and using what's already out there, which is more interesting, better made, more exciting. It's just, I can't speak enough about what's already out there, which is more interesting, better made than a lot of the stuff that's coming our way. So I just want to tell that. So let people know how to find you, and that'll be the end of our show. So how do we find Liz? How do we find Liz Perfectly?
Yeah, you can find us in our website, www.listperfectly.com. You can find us, I highly recommend our Facebook group. Come and see what in our Facebook group, List Perfectly, what active users are selling. You can find us in Instagram to see, what we're doing day to day, or you can see our webinars in our YouTube channel.
Terrific, which I have watched, which are fantastic. It helped me a lot. Well, thank you, ladies. Clara and Amanda, for being on here with me on Closet Conversations. Again, to get 30% off your first month, use the JennieGirl code at the link on all of the places you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, my website, and that's an ongoing program. There's not a time limit to that I know of, but it's working now. So definitely check it out. I know you'll be happy to. And thanks again for joining us. Look forward to having you on a future episode of Closet Conversations.